The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
This is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
it might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't
The
care.
BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the sports guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the BS Report. Finally a sunny day in Southern California. Taping this on a Wednesday for a Thursday. In studio.
First time?
My studio. Not the real studio, but it's a studio.
Yeah.
I guess it's really an office.
It is an office. You hear you talk about it as a studio a lot, and then it really is just an office.
Yeah. An office that's not really decorated, has a lot of boxes.
It's true.
But here, Seth Meyers. Not on the Subway Fresh Tech Hotline, but here.
Yeah, it's nice. This is, I think, this is my fourth time on the pod and first time in-house.
We like to, if you go 3, you get the invite for the 4th.
It's
You get
very
in-house
nice.
invite.
You're in the home, and you do, really meet the dogs and the kids and
Yeah,
the
they
wife
meet you.
en
They'll
route.
greet you. Yeah, they'll greet
It's
you.
very nice. It's very,
A lot going on.
yeah.
Well, congratulations, because you are the host of the 2010 ESPYs.
I am. I'm very excited. You had a lot to do with me
Not really.
agreeing to do it.
Oh, yeah, that I did.
You were very,
Yeah.
I was very excited about it, but you sort of had some experience.
Well, we were there last year, and it just seemed kind of stupid. You were presenting it, not actually hosting it. I remember feeling awkward.
It was, although I had it's interesting that I'm going back to the ESPYs in
Yes,
that
tell the
as a Steelers fan, I had the biggest jinx ever because I gave out, Andy and I presented best play,
Yeah.
and this was last year's ESPY, and the best play was Roethlisberger to Santonio Holmes.
It's so good.
And so here, I'm a huge Steelers fan. It was the greatest thing ever. And then everything has gone wrong for those guys.
It's almost like a movie. It's like the Patton Oswalt Big Fan movie, but in reverse or something.
Absolutely. Because
Yeah.
then the next day, the Lake Tahoe thing with Ben broke.
You know, there's probably a picture or something,
Yes.
either during the telecast or like backstage of the three.
Oh,
or something. That would
absolutely.
be like a great framer now.
Yeah.
It would almost
the
be
four
like
of
you
us.
with OJ and Al Cowlings. in
And
1994.
there's probably because Aaron Andrews interviewed us,
Ooh.
and then so there's another person who had a very interesting year.
Yeah,
although
seriously.
she's now in the ascendancy, but
Yeah, she's now a major A-list celebrity.
she is. But
It's funny with that show that if you go on that show, the longer you go, you move higher and higher up the list of
Yes.
the celebrity list.
I think that you can tell when people get voted off that show that they're very aware.
Yeah. What's weird? You know what's weird about that show is that it's like their friends, the people who were on seasons, but like Mark Cuban he was tweeting Jake Pavelka, The Bachelor. Like,
Yeah.
Jake, good luck, buddy. Like they're friends now because they both shared this Dancing with the Stars weird experience.
Yeah.
How does that work? I don't understand.
I don't know. I pretty much most of what I catch from Dancing with the Stars is the 8 seconds at TiVo's on my Lost. Sometimes I'll get the very last 8 seconds.
I was thinking about that. I am the world's number one expert on the last 90 seconds of Bones.
Yeah.
Because it's on right before TNT's basketball starts. I think I've seen every Bones now.
Yeah.
And it's always there's sexual tension with David Boreanaz and the Deschanel sister, whichever one. And they're like,
Right.
and they've already solved whatever crime they needed to solve, and now it's like, so what are you doing tonight? I don't know. What are you doing?
Do
we have to play this game?
Your will or will there, won't they on Bones is just built from the last 90 seconds. Yeah.
That's it. And I've seen and it's like, God, can these two kids get it over with? And I've literally not seen anything other than the last 90 seconds.
Yeah, it is funny. For me, it's like I also watch basketball, but I also am addicted to Law and Order on TNT. So I catch. There's a lot of times where I'll catch Charmed, like the end of Charmed, or like the beginning of Bones.
Is Charmed the one with the witches?
Yeah, that's the witches.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Because there was a time Law and Order was from 1 to 4, and then all of a sudden Charmed was in there, and you get very upset.
What makes somebody a Law and Order fan?
I just like, my favorite thing about Law and Order, which I don't love in other shows, but that there's nothing about the personal lives of the characters.
And there's no serial. You can
There's
come in and out
come in
anyone.
anytime. You can come in halfway through the episode and
yeah. So it's just an hour. You know it's an hour. You don't really have to you can turn your brain off for that 1 hour.
And there's, for an hour, there's a fair amount of twists. Like, it's not just exactly what you think. And I never have to listen to, there was never a show that there was that will they or won't they element, which I liked.
But other shows have done that though. I think CSI initially the characters were detached, but then they
I think
involved.
it's like and they're like they're a handsomer group of. I know that's not true. I mean, I guess there's some really attractive people in Law and Order as well, but it's just straight procedure, which I like. And I know I've heard you talk about it on the pods, but you got to watch Breaking Bad. I know you've. I have July. You're good to go. That's amazing.
I have them. Yeah, it's sad. You're a Lost guy, right?
Yeah.
So, last night was the second to last one ever.
Yeah.
And now the Sunday one's 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And then it just disappears in a vortex.
Yeah, it's that weird thing of like, because there are, I think you and I probably have a pretty similar take on Lost, which is like sometimes you've liked it more than you haven't, but it is like following a sports team.
Yeah.
Except this weird thing of like now the sports team's never going to be around anymore.
Yeah.
And then you're going to realize like that you were happier being disappointed with an episode of Lost than you will be just not having it around.
Yeah, I hit that point about 7-8 episodes in this season where I was like, you know what, I got to stop.
I was excited last night. Gave me a very good sense of that there's going somewhere.
Yeah, and actually there's a couple points to it where I was like, I really don't know how this is going to end.
Yeah.
Whereas I felt like I kind of knew.
Yeah.
Or at least, and I mean, we could always, quick spoiler alert, but we could always tell the certain person who made the certain decision last night.
Yes.
Was going to eventually make that decision. That had been foreshadowed over and over again.
That had been foreshadowed.
But
and not to give it away, but he just barely held it together.
He did.
He's the best actor of all time, and barely holding it together. I wrote a sketch for him that I think we ended up doing with another actor, which was I can't believe I can't remember this, but it was a game show called Dry Eyes about people barely had to like just not cry.
Oh,
and I think we ended up doing it with Timberlake. I wrote it for Foxy, but there you go, spoiler alert.
Foxy.
But then we ended up, I think, doing it for Timberlake. But
I remember before you got there, they had the party of 5. I think it was before you got there. Will Ferrell was Charlie.
Yes.
It was just over and over. I have cancer. I have cancer. You said something interesting. Well, let's talk about. So I went to the show a few weeks ago.
Yes.
You pointed out that. You said you guys were light on reality TV this year because you guys don't have time to watch all the weird shows.
Yeah. I think we get caught up in just like, I mean, because it is that thing from like basically, you're there. We work always when the shows are on. Like we work nights pretty much straight through. And then on Sunday, I feel like everybody catches up on their shows.
Yeah.
So you have a very I think people are very targeted with what they watch. I mean, there's a group of people that are really, there's people that are really into Lost. There's people that are really into Breaking Bad. The people that use their Sundays to watch sports.
Is it like too low of a degree of difficulty? Because you could do any Hills parody and it would work.
Yeah, I gotta say
put a blonde wig on Hader and I mean, the
strangest thing though is
easy.
I wrote a Lost scene for Baldwin.
Yeah.
Where he was a guy who had been on the flight as well, but just hadn't gotten a good vibe off anybody, so he just sort of been hanging back, and just came out right at the end.
Yeah.
But it was this weird thing of like, a lot of people, for as many people that watch Lost, more people don't.
Yeah.
Which is like, just you realize the difference in like 15 years on SNL. 15 years ago, you could do a parody of a show, I feel like, and everybody would watch it.
Yeah. So like if you did the Hills now, go over people's heads?
Yeah. I mean, unless you could do it in a way that it would work for people who don't see it. I'm trying to think. I should be able to pull off an example of shows that like no one watches, or maybe not a lot of people. I mean, like
we had that problem when John Hamm hosted the first time.
Yeah.
Because Mad Men was like super popular, but with a certain group of people.
Right.
Outside that group.
So then we did a 2 a-holes Mad Men scene that I think made everybody happy.
Yeah.
And like Snooki, Jersey Shore is a bit of a phenomenon. I haven't really watched a lot of Jersey Shore, but I certainly can appreciate Bobby's impression of Snooki.
Would you say if somebody's in Us Weekly and their show's not mentioned and their name's mentioned but not the show, it feels like then they've become mainstream. Because I noticed that with Snooki, it was like whatever her real name is, parentheses, Snooki, whatever, but they didn't say Jersey Shore. I was like, oh, Snooki.
Yeah.
I didn't even need the Jersey Shore disclaimer. I remember when that happened with Friends in the mid-'90s. It was always Jennifer, parentheses, Friends, Aniston.
Yeah.
Matthew, parentheses, friend, LeBron. But then around 97, all of a sudden the parentheses were gone.
Yeah.
It was like, they stand on that. Courtney Cox is on her own now.
They are just a genuine star. I gotta say, and I work on a show that is about culture and stuff. And I probably I think we all break different ways, and I probably break a little bit more towards the politics side of it. But like there are weeks where there's literally I have no idea who anybody on the cover of Us Weekly is.
Yeah.
Which is just scary to me.
Well, you almost would have to study. Like, it's like homework.
It is. It's like, you know,
Who
like
is
you
this
can
person?
either, like, sort of, you know, it's just hard to, like, sort of follow, like, you know, Blanche Lincoln running for re-election versus, like, are you gonna kind of know what's going on with Heidi?
It was kind of a boring year for politics.
It was a real boring year. It was one after the
last
other.
year.
Oh, I mean, well, after last year, everything was gonna be boring, but then, like, yeah, I mean, like the healthcare debate was just like a really long, boring, and you just realize like how many false endings there are to that, which is like, I remember back in, gosh, I want to say it was like, yeah, like October, November, probably November, that was the first time the House voted for it.
Yeah.
And then you realize then it has to go to the Senate, and then there's go back, and then reconciliation. In the end, like, I still don't think most people know what actually happened with that.
Nah,
but it was
a big
like,
murky thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
the Supreme Court justice would have been fun, but that happened a little late in the game.
Yeah.
The
And then
softball part was fun.
it was certainly that, and again, like, you know, Stewart did a great thing about that on the Daily Show. Like, that's so, like, just a thing that those guys like just dominate and eat up and do such
In the
a great job
wheelhouse.
with. Yeah, and they just have such good, smart takes on it. And then, I mean, that's one where it like rolls around and it's sort of like Saturday, and you go, hey, what about? And it's like, oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Didn't Spitzer happen last season too, right?
Yeah, we had Spitzer
And Blagojevich.
Blagojevich, and then, you know, Patterson. We rolled Patterson into this year a little bit.
More stuff than anything.
Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, yeah, the fact that you had like a Chicago politician who was big, and then, you know, John Edwards was sort of kicking around this year, but I think that story is just a bummer.
The other great thing about those three were they're all very parodyable.
Yeah, just good.
Blagojevich. I can never say it, but he had the deep Chicago accent, which is always fun to do.
He had
Patterson
in real life
Spitzer.
slightly less of a Chicago accent than Sudeikis played it with, but that is absolutely. You're allowed to take artistic license with that.
Why is the Chicago accent to me is just as, if not more, ridiculous than the Massachusetts accent, and yet never gets the acclaim?
Yeah, well, it spreads out more. Well, no, that's not true. I guess the New England accent spreads out more too, because I was saying like it's you know, even as far north as like Minnesota, it still has that like weird Midwestern accent. I don't know. I feel like, you know, it's an East Coast bias.
Rhode Island is the Chicago of the Northeast for accents. Chicago is like DEFCON 5 for accents in the Midwest.
Right.
I think Rhode Island's the same.
Right, for accents and corruption.
Yeah.
That's what they share.
New Hampshire's a little more mellow. Some people can get out of New Hampshire without even having an accent.
Yeah, and then you get up to Maine. It's like a weird black spot, like New Hampshire, because it's not. But you go a little bit farther north, and it's crazy again.
What else happened this year? It's a pretty bland year.
For politics, it was...
pop culture, politics.
It was bland.
I guess Tiger Woods was the best thing that happened to you.
Yeah, and even that was a bit of a... I mean, like, you know, it was funny. We had, like, I feel like one of our better cold opens was, like, the Party Crashers, where it was just, like, because that was just, like, cartoony and fun. That was good. You know, there was a lot of... It was, like, one of those things where you realize, like, when the fun of a contest of, like, who's going to be president, most politics are about, like... how bad things are. We had a fun one with the debt in China, where we had Obama talking to the Chinese. That was a good one. But yeah, it was a tricky year. I mean, and obviously then you had stuff like the oil spill, which is just a huge bummer. And
yeah, the oil spill's not a lot of comedy.
No.
It's like, Louisiana, everybody's going to lose their job.
We pulled that. We wrote that. I was happy with how it turned out last week, because we sort of we had a cold open about the oil spill, but we were like, let's just go lean and silly.
That was fast, yeah.
Yeah, we were like, let's get to the rest of the show.
You know, it struck me because I went to I think last week of April or somewhere around there, but the writing schedule made sense to me after going to that show.
Yeah.
Because it's 11:30 at night, and it's one thing you're home and you're like, I'll put on the TV, and if you forget, like, you're putting on a live show at 11:30 at night, and the energy level that needs to happen, you know, everything about it is different.
Yes.
It's almost like 11:30 really has to be 5:30 or 6 o'clock or something. So it made sense.
No, yeah, you spend the whole week sort of like training yourself to be ready at like 11:30. Yeah.
So what time do you get up normally?
I actually still get up like around 9 a.m. I don't really.
Do you nap?
Yeah, a little bit. But I think the longer I've been on the show, the more I've just gotten used to it. But that's, like on Tuesday nights, which is our crazy writing night, like I kind of sleep from like 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. That's like,
you know who's a big nap guy? Nash.
Really?
Yeah.
Nash
is into napping and food, and that's like the reason he had one of his best seasons. And I was like, I should try that. So I haven't tried any of it.
I love a nap. Don't get me wrong. I think I just, now
it's a hard thing.
Yeah. I strangely will sleep in now more than that the season's over, but I just think I get too wound up when we have shows, and I just like to wake up early.
Yeah, there's one of the things, so I'll go through the things I noticed as I went.
Okay.
The no camera thing was really funny, which you didn't even know about.
I did not know this. That's true.
They're like maniacal about you can't take a picture of the thing. And I guess you'd want to be that way during the show, but before it was a little weird. Like, I can't get one?
Yeah.
It's like they were, like, what do you think they're hiding or guarding? I don't know.
I do think there's something about the fact that I feel like SNL has done a better job than almost anywhere of, like, not showing
the mystique.
I think the mystique has been really well protected.
Well, then there you go. Because it worked, because nobody was.
Right.
So the stage goes, we were dead on, and there's people to the left, like we were up higher.
Right.
People left, and you go all the way around, and then you wrap around.
Yeah.
And there's like almost like the obstructed Boston Garden seats.
Terrible seats.
On the right. And Sudeikis came out to warm up the crowd and was just ragging on the people in the bad seats.
They know. And I got to say, like, now, you came as my guest. Now when I have people come as my guest, like, they sit in good seats like you did. But like my first couple of years, like, I had friends come and they were in the obstructed view seats.
Yeah.
And it's a bummer. Because then you're basically just, like, you're like, at a party adjacent. You're like at a house next to a house that's having a party.
Yeah. And you're watching the monitor.
You're just watching the monitor.
Yeah.
Although, did you find, pretty much your eyes go to the monitor for most stuff anyway.
I couldn't decide what to do the whole time.
Yeah.
I was looking at the monitor, and then I was looking down, and I was pretty disoriented the whole time. It just felt more natural to watch it on the monitor. It felt like a show.
Because Update, which is one of the more, like, things, that's, like, obviously played out.
Yeah.
More than most things. But, like, obviously, like, there's a graphics package and a key, and if you're watching it.
Yeah.
If you're just watching me, you're missing 50%.
I was actually looking around to see what other people were doing, and most people were watching the monitor, but for Update, everybody was watching the monitor.
The best thing about being there live is that instead of commercials, you get to watch the mayhem of everybody trying to get ready for the next sketch. And that's where you stop watching the monitor and you sort of look.
And that was actually almost, to me, the thing I took away as being the most memorable from the show was how fast everybody's got to move around, and like the host finishes the sketch and some lady runs and grabs him, and I went to the one with Precious. So she wasn't really moving around like Barry Sanders. And, they're grabbing her and trying to run her off, and she's not really going that fast, and a couple of times she barely made it back in time.
It's funny. Donna, who's this woman in our wardrobe department, has been there forever, and she's always in charge of getting the host. She dresses the host. And she is kind of like, in a weird way, she's the only person that Lauren has to get out of her way.
Yeah.
Like, like she overrides everything when she's running the host around. And there's this other thing of, when we're between dress and air, if Lauren wants to put the running order some way, he'll sometimes say, like, can we get the cameras there? And the director will be like, well, it might be a problem. And Lauren's like, well, I'm sure you'll figure it out. If Donna were to say, we can't make it, Lauren listens to her.
She's
like, we just can't make the trade. If we only have 90 seconds to make that change, we can't do it.
So this lady Donna handles the hosts?
Yes.
So she's seen some pretty good people naked, I'm guessing.
She's seen a lot of,
some of the great celebrities of our time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the great naked. And then,
I'm sure that you can't be modest. You've got to change. You have 90 seconds to flip
you just
outfits.
Don't have time.
With Betty White, maybe not as exciting as.
But Betty White, that's a high level of difficulty as well.
Moving around.
Yeah.
Didn't even think of that.
Although it's funny, I think one of the first reasons that we invited back all those alumni was, we didn't know how much Betty would be able to do.
Yeah.
It was just that fear of, like, let's try to keep, but mostly just, like, let's be reasonable. She's 88 years old. Or she said, which I loved, every time anybody said she was 88, she would say 88 and a half.
Which add the 6 months.
But she was just so, like, it got to the point where in the end, we were so long in dress that show, like 42 minutes long. In the end, we kept the stuff she was in. Like, like anything that she wasn't the star of, we just kind of were like, well, let's just put that online. But,
so that's why you put the online stuff? Normally you don't do that.
We don't normally do it, but we were so long, and it, again, like, it was when you have those people back doing stuff like that, it wasn't like we were just cutting on merit. Like, a lot of it was like, oh, well, let's use Betty while we have her.
I actually like to see Maya Rudolph again.
Maya's unbelievable. It was so great.
She should just maybe come back.
We would love to
just
have her back.
Come back.
She'd be great. It was the best thing for me was that update was so great for me because we did a Sally O'Malley with Molly.
Yeah.
And Molly was like in my periphery next to the camera, and Molly just goes into deep character.
Yeah.
And so she was in her Sally O'Malley costume, literally stretching like Sally O'Malley would like stretch.
Yeah.
In real life, she's like stretching, getting ready, crazy eyes. Whereas like when Maya was getting ready for Whitney Houston, Maya is the loosest, like just like free spirit. Like it's just so funny that you just like the approaches to comedy can get the same.
When was the last time Maya had been on the show?
She hosted, I want to say 3 years ago.
Oh.
Which was great.
It's always amazing to me that they can just turn it back on.
Yeah. Everybody was. I have to say, like, it was so great having Betty. Anna Gasteyer was like at the.
Yeah, when was the last time she's been on?
I think since the last time
Yeah.
Which was my first year. She was so at the table read where obviously we're reading 45 pieces. And a lot of like Anna is just so good, such a good straight person.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff like that NPR character, like that she makes that look so easy. And there's the way she plays.
What has she been doing? Is she family?
She's been doing a ton of family, but also a ton of Broadway stuff.
Oh. Yeah, because I haven't seen her in movies and stuff.
She's crazy good.
So that was your favorite show of the year?
Yeah, that was my favorite.
Because you're probably worried about that one.
Super worried. Again, like, there's nothing I feel like comedians want less than incredibly high expectations.
Well, did you feel like you were bullied into having her as the host?
No, not at all. I mean, like, that Facebook campaign definitely had something to do with it as far as, like, just bringing it to our attention. And then people sort of mentioned the Snickers ad as well, but the thing, she had given a SAG award, I want to say, to Sandra Bullock. And that was when she was just killing it. And that's when you just realized, like, how good she was at telling jokes. Because that monologue was, like, my favorite monologue of the year.
It was a really good monologue.
John Mulaney and I worked on that. And it was just that joy of just, like, how well she can tell a joke.
Well, you forget, like, how long was Golden Girls?
Golden Girls was, like, 6 seasons, I think.
But was it 25 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
A show that we all made fun of, but if you ever actually watched it, all the people on that show were really good at, like, doing comedy.
We tried to write a Golden Girls parody.
Yeah.
And it was impossible. Like, Golden Girls was too funny.
Yeah.
Like, we look back, if you just go to the IMDb page of Golden Girls and, like, click quotes, first of all, it's like 10 pages of quote. It's great. It's also the pace.
It got a bad rap.
Yeah. I don't know. Most people I know in the comedy world love it.
Those 4 actresses were all really good.
Crazy good. Their characters are super locked in. And you can't, it moves like, I feel like the pace of TV is sped up so much. You watch it and like someone tells a joke and it's just like single. Like just the reactions are so great.
I've actually, for some reason, we've been watching Seinfeld lately because it's on at 10.
Yeah.
Which is now like old school, which is weird to think because it was so revolutionary, but now it's like so simple and that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like refreshing.
Oh, it's great. Like shows like that are like, I mean, like I really feel like both those shows are like so in the writing, and also like you just got 4 characters.
Cheers feels dated, but I think it's probably because of like the hairdos, and just how primitively it's filmed.
Uh-huh.
But the actual like the dialogue and stuff is still good.
That
it's
stuff
just too dated. But they could easily bring that show back any year, and it always. We've talked about this before on the podcast, not with you, but just bring it back. It's been 2 decades. Yeah. Put it in Chicago. Just have another athlete.
I know. I don't know why they're,
I look at these shows that they come up with in the upfronts, and it's almost like you can tell right away.
Right.
You see the one sentence pitch, like, that's not going to work. That'll be gone soon.
Well, it is that crazy thing of like, there's nothing, it's like, we can be current at SNL. And even we miss, sometimes, but like we can be current because we can do it that week.
Yeah.
And talk shows can be current, and obviously, South Park is current. But like TV shows, there's so much lead time that like if you try to do the thing that's the thing, it's oftentimes like, it's almost weirdly like if you miss by a year, you look more dated than if you miss by 20.
What about when they had the Lost ripoff shows?
Yeah.
Flash forward. Those, the 9. Yeah. Nah, you missed the window, fellas.
Yeah.
One more thing when I went to the show, and I was lucky enough to take my lovely bride with me.
Yes.
We went in your dressing room after, and then you're like, all right, we're going to go to the after party. Yes. I don't know where it is.
I had no idea.
Like, all right, that's weird.
Yeah.
So we go down, and there are all these town cars.
Mm-hmm.
Not limos, but whatever.
No.
Those are called town cars.
They were
right?
town cars,
Yeah, town cars. Waiting for different people. So you find yours, and we're about to go in, and somebody runs up to you, and they said, did they say hater? Or they didn't call you?
They got it wrong, yeah.
It
Will.
was somebody.
I think
Will.
they took a picture, and then as we were
Can I get a
walking
picture of
away,
you, Will?
I think they said thanks, Will,
thanks, Will.
after the photo.
Yeah.
So it was like that, like,
That's funny.
stinger at the end.
It was good because it was like an entourage moment, and then it was like somebody saying, hey, thanks, Will.
Yeah.
But so we get in this car, and you still don't know where we're going.
Right.
And you ask the driver, where are we going? And the driver said, we're going here. And you're like,
Right.
oh, we had one earlier that year.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool, though, that you had no idea where the party was.
I really have no idea. We have it at a different place every week, but we've gone to the place we went before. It sort of rotates around.
And then it was
yeah.
it was much more mellow than I expected, but it went on for a really long time. I was proud of myself for staying up till 4:30 and drinking tequila.
It was good.
And it was good times. Talked to some weird people.
Yeah.
Saw some weird people.
There were some weird people there. That was a good night for it.
Watched Precious eat. That was fun.
You went and said hi to Lauren.
Said hi. You arranged a Lorne Michaels 1 minute greeting, which was surprisingly good.
Yeah.
I hate meeting people because it never lives up to expectations, and you can never say anything that matches.
I thought you had a good approach, which was I felt like you were looking to get 1 good minute out of it.
Even less. I would have taken 20 seconds.
Right.
I was just like, hey, just want to thank you. You had a huge impact on my life and a big impact on what I do for a living. Something like that.
Yeah. The key is you just don't want to put that person in the position of saying, this is over. Like the way you just want to get in and get out.
In and out. It's the way to do it. But it was good. It was a fun night.
Yeah. It was a super fun night.
Yeah. ESPYS.
Yes.
So you're going to be the host. It's
am.
going to be live.
It's going to be live.
This is good for you. I think it's funny that it's live the year that you're the host.
I know. It's certainly exciting. I mean, for me, it's that weird thing of like, if we we obviously, you do it live because it's a live show, so it's not like there's, and I guess the only thing would be like, well, you would have like 5 days to edit it for Sunday broadcast. But, I think live is more fun.
It should be live.
It should be live.
It should always have been live. And they were, I guess, understandably a little bit squeamish about.
Right. So I think 03 was maybe the last live year. I think it's been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, So I think in the internet era, and not that 03 was in the internet era, but now with tweeting and all that stuff, there's just really no way to tape an award show.
Right.
You've got to just show it, and there it is.
I agree. There is that weird thing of like, it's the same thing with sports, like things that happen where the result is known, whether you know it or not. It's just like that weird thing of like.
It's turned into a really, really surprisingly, shockingly fun night.
Yeah.
And beyond the show, like everything's set up, the parties are really fun, and basically every big athlete is there except the baseball players. Right. They have the season and stuff, but it's kind of cool. It's cool to see all those guys mingle. Now the problem, I guess, is the awards itself. Nobody can remember, like.
Right.
So, like, if you ask the average person who won the 06 ESPY for Team of the Year, nobody would know.
Right.
But somebody made the point, well, what if I asked somebody who won the 2006 Best Picture Oscar? Would they know off the top of their head? It's like, actually, probably not.
Right.
Or the Best Drama Emmy. Awards kind of go in and out one year and out the other anyway.
Well, the only main difference is that if you win the 2006 Oscar, that is the highest honor.
True.
Whereas if you win the 2006 Team of the Year, that is obviously secondary to the fact that you won your league. You know, like.
That's true.
I mean, I think like stuff like, it's just fun to have like an Oscars for sports. I mean, that's the most exciting thing is like, it's that weird thing of like when you see like, I always liked as a comic book fan, I always liked when like different superheroes that were from different comics would hang out together. Yeah. And like, that's the way you feel at the ESPYs. Like, it's just fun to see like, also it's always interesting to see like when the 1 year I was there, like what athletes are excited to meet other athletes and
which two athletes are competing for the same woman.
Exactly.
All that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The live thing I think is a good wrinkle because, I mean, here's why I wanted it because you just think when it's live, not that anything's going to happen,
right?
But you never know.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's taped, if something did happen, I would have already known.
Right.
So you know what I mean? So now at least there's the 0.02% chance somebody's going to run, some get them miss their mark or something goofy, anything.
And that stuff's fun. I mean, certainly as a host, you kind of want things to, like I feel like good host moments are things when things go slightly off.
Or when somebody does something goofy.
Yeah, you want it to go. I mean, you want to have stuff that you're able to like poke fun at.
Because basically you're done after the first 5 minutes, and then you're
you've
kind
maybe
of
done some
popping in and out after
stuff.
that. Yeah.
I mean, that I will say, doing it live, the one thing that I actually kind of look forward to is there's obviously I'm going to have at least one monologue joke that will not go as well as I had hoped. And that's
a groaner?
Yeah, probably a groaner. Although you gotta be careful. But it was good. Like, I gotta say, like, I really liked Alec and Steve's monologue at the Oscars this year.
Yeah.
I thought they walked the line really well. Of course, the difference is, like, they're both great actors and they were at the Oscars, and I am not a good athlete. There's not that, like.
And also, like, at the Oscars, those people are rooting for those guys, whereas the athletes are just thinking, like, maybe some of them are thinking, like, I can't wait till this is over and I can try to have sex with somebody.
Yeah.
A little bit different.
Yeah. That's true. You were talking, I forget, I listened to your post ESPYS podcast last year. I feel like
you did for research?
Yeah, no, last year when it aired. I listened to them as they air.
It's you'll see a couple things. Put it this way, it would be a good column that I could probably never write. Some of the things that'll happen during the course of the night.
It's really exciting. I mean, I've never obviously done anything quite like that. I've done live stuff, and a lot of the guys from the show have offered up their services if I need help. And
nice.
Obviously, like
you're gonna film some pre-tape stuff.
Film some pre-tape stuff. We're doing. We've got. It's that funny thing of you could sometimes when you do SNL get a little like. We'll worry about it when it's a week away, but obviously the ESPN people are being very helpful and reminding me like I think you pointed out like 6 weeks is when you start really.
Yeah.
I'm shooting some promos on this Saturday, which is exciting.
Some promos?
Yeah, we're shooting some promos.
That's exciting.
Yeah. With some athletes, which is also exciting.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Is that this weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should come by.
And then Friday you have MacGruber.
Friday, MacGruber opens.
What's your role for MacGruber?
I along with, I was an executive producer. It was my title on MacGruber. But what that really means in like sort of the SNL world where, you ask your friends to help out as, I was on set and stuff and sort of was with those guys when they were working on the script. But it really is the guys that really did the work on MacGruber is Will Forte and Jorma Taccone, who's one of the Lonely Island guys that does the digital shorts, and John Solomon, who's a writer on our show. Well,
how did they stretch out a bit where the guy blows up in 70 seconds into a
they did it really well is the short answer.
Yeah.
It's you learn a lot more about MacGruber than you've ever known, which is really exciting. He's not a very likable guy, MacGruber. I think it's potentially one of the most flawed heroes that you're ever going to see in the movie. But as I was saying to this earlier, it's like 90 minutes, and it was this movie that these guys wrote this really funny script, and the studio really left him alone. And so it's like kind of like the purest like comedy for comedy's sake that you're ever going to see. And it's really, really filthy. There are parts of it that are really dirty and really funny.
How many SNL people are in it?
Just Wig and Forte.
Huh.
Kristen Wiig plays her MacGruber character, Vicky St. Elmo, and then Powers.
That's so stupid.
It's so
I love
stupid.
when there's a saint with the comedy names.
Oh,
like
it's best. Well, also St. Elmo is like other than St. Elmo's Fire, it doesn't exist. Like it's not
right.
And then Val Kilmer is the villain.
It's good to see him again. Where's he been?
I don't know.
Always enjoyed him.
Doing stuff. He was great. I forgot. I had my best day instead is Powers Booth is in as well. Mm. And Powers Booth and Val Kilmer were talking about Tombstone because I forgot they were both in Tombstone, and it was just like so awesome.
When was Val Kilmer's SNL moment?
Val Kilmer hosted SNL in 2000.
Oh, so probably not for the first time.
No, that was the first time he hosted, but it was late. It was
really.
It was weird. It was for like because that was the year before I started, and I went to that show. That's the only way I know what it's like to sit in the audience. But it was for a weird movie like Mission to Mars or something. I don't even know. The Red Planet, maybe?
We might have had this conversation at 4:30 in the morning at that after party, but the levels of SNL host.
Yes.
The 15 Minutes of Fame host.
Right.
And then the solid career, but this is really the only time they're ever going to really get to host.
Yep.
And then this guy, this is a one time, but this, you know what? This guy or girl might have a career ahead of them.
Yeah.
We might see them again.
Yeah.
And then there's we will definitely, there's the phone. I kept the streak alive. And then there's this is their first time, and it's a mortal act they will be back.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be famous. And
right.
So those are kind of the levels. And then after that, it's the repeat hosts and stuff. But yeah.
No, it was good this year. I think Ham and Franco were our two second timers from the year before.
Yeah, Ham's almost auditioning for this generation's Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, off to an amazing start. He broke the sophomore jinx as well, because he
gets the yearly invite probably, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love it. I mean, he's such a good guy.
There's a Tom Hanks spot open now.
There is. There's a lot of, in walk-in, I think that, like that sort of is maybe in the rear view a little bit.
In the transactions?
Yeah. I mean, we would take walk-in back anytime he would have us. But those are spots that open up. And I can say James Franco has, if Ham is the Baldwin, I think Franco is the walk-in.
Oh.
Because Franco's got a good, he's the guy where when you write for him at the table, he kind of does it in a more interesting way than you thought. Whereas Baldwin, Ham, they nail it exactly the way the writer envisioned it.
So Baldwin's Ham, walk-in is Franco.
Yeah.
So who's Hanks? Timberlake?
Timberlake, maybe. That's a good call.
It's a weird comparison, but it kind of works.
But it is, yeah.
From a fame standpoint, it works.
Yeah.
Basically, anytime they want to host, you'll make it work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if they're 3 weeks from now. We'll shoehorn you in.
Yeah. Oh, that's the thing. I mean, Timberlake did, I think, last year was the Paul Rudd show.
Is there a female in that group?
I'm trying to think of the female.
It should have been Paltrow, but she never wants to host.
No. Yeah. Julie Louis-Dreyfus did a couple years in a row. She was great. We really liked having her. I'm trying to think. Cameron Diaz.
You've never had a female host for more than 5-6 times, I don't think.
But Drew Barrymore's the most. And
really?
I think she is 6 or 7.
Oh.
But she's also got the crazy, because she did it when she was 7 or whatever. Yeah. But she, Blake Lively was really good this year. And
she was good.
And Taylor Swift was really good.
I actually think Blake Lively might have a long, prosperous career.
Yeah, I think to go back to what you were saying, she was somebody who was good, and you're oh, I think you'll be back. I think you have an interesting career ahead of you, and she was really fun.
You said she was really, really super pretty, right? Not that your girlfriend.
Yeah, I was very.
But
I went way out on a limb and told you that.
No, but I mean, she's really pretty anyway.
Yeah.
But in person,
she's also
striking because she's tall and stuff.
Yeah, she's striking, and she's also a very nice person, which always makes people more attractive.
Mm.
And I think she might have been in the craziest, maybe my craziest, most favorite, I should say, sketch of the year, which is that crazy potato chip scene.
Oh. What about the Taylor Swift though? I mean, how old is she?
Oh, I should know.
Because she seems like she would be a girl in person, not somebody who's should be dating John Mayer.
Right. She
seems like somebody's daughter.
She's a little young.
Just got out of high school.
She's very tall though. That's what throws you.
Really?
Yeah, she's really tall. She had my favorite, the most unexpected moment of the year, which is she did a song in the monologue that she wrote, and she sort of came up to Lauren's office with her guitar. It was can I sing you guys this song I wrote for the monologue? And despite how long, nothing sort of scares me more than sitting in close quarters while somebody sings a song.
Yeah.
That's usually when I know it's time to leave
You'd
a party.
Be the worst American Idol helper ever.
The worst.
Yeah.
But even that, you have some distance. We were literally as far apart as you and I are now.
Yeah.
And it was so great. It was just this incredibly charming, wonderful song. And that was another. It is that weird thing with monologues because they're such a hard thing to do that whenever anybody sort of brings a thing they want to do in the monologue, it makes it a lot better.
You're always nervous to.
Yeah. Which is why I think, Betty White was great, but Zach's monologue this year was so great because it was just Zach being Zach.
Taylor Swift feels like she might actually be legitimately talented.
Yeah.
Some of these other ones that come along, the female singers, the younger ones.
Yeah.
Kind of get the feeling 5 years from now, you might not be around.
She was great.
She feels like she might have a career.
We went, Andy Samberg had to perform at the Time 100 this year, and I went along with him, and she performed there, and she was great.
What is you went to I didn't know that was a party.
It is a party. Polar and I did jokes at it 2-3 years ago, and then this year Andy had to do jokes at it.
Really?
Yeah.
And do all the people go, or they aren't able to get a lot of them?
No, I want to say like 60 of them were there. They sort of mentioned that might have been like past and present. But like, Clinton was there, and
of course he was.
Palin, Glenn Beck was there. It was an interesting night. I mean, it's a fascinating night. There's tons of scientists and stuff. And
I can't remember if you told me this or somebody who's friends with him told me this, but apparently he was okay with hosting Saturday Night Live or being involved or doing something and had to be talked out of it, but really wanted.
Who was that?
Clinton.
I don't know if I told you. I mean, he would be the best if we could get
Can you imagine?
That would be amazing.
What is the biggest rated host you could get? Because who knew the answer this year was Betty White?
Not just this year. I mean, I think
was that the last couple years?
It was like the last. If you take away politics, because like Sarah Palin from last year was the crazy, big number, but that almost, she wasn't the host. Although if she was the host, it would be.
She's a conceivable host, though.
She is a conceivable host
because she's certainly been willing to do other stuff.
Yeah, I think she'd be. I think it would be it would be such an interesting week. But
you said she was good looking too, though. You're not the first person who's told me that.
No, she was very attractive in person. Yeah,
a little smaller.
Yeah, but like gorgeous.
Yeah,
and like
we'll call it out. Invite her right now. Next year, 2010-11.
I kid. You guys are in the ABC family, and I just couldn't.
What do you mean?
Like the ESPN, ABC. I just couldn't do that to NBC.
All right.
I couldn't announce it here.
Sarah Palin. I think Tiger Woods would be an enormous rating.
Yeah.
He'd never do it.
He'll never do it.
That's an unrealistic one.
Yep.
Clinton is probably unrealistic, but just realistic enough that it's fun to talk about.
You have to talk about it, yeah.
I'm going to throw another one at you. The Russian Nets owner.
Yeah. Well, once we know him a little bit better.
That's a weird one, but I think for every time I see this guy, I want more.
Yeah.
Apparently he was on Mike and the Mad Dog, not Mad Dog anymore, Mike Francesa.
Okay.
He was on for 25 minutes today.
Really?
And WFAN, the first thing he said was, "Where's the Mad Dog?" Like trying to bust Francesa's balls.
Wow.
This guy's unbelievable.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's saying they're going to win a title in 5 years. And
why not?
I'm extremely excited. I would put him in the mix.
Okay. That'd be great. I mean, it is that weird thing of because I'm trying to think, last athlete, I guess, was Phelps.
Have you had a Jamie Foxx hosting?
No.
Never.
Oh, he's hosted, but I missed him. He definitely hosted, I want to say.
And never wanted to come back?
I don't know.
What about Eddie Murphy?
I mean, Eddie Murphy would be outstanding if you could.
Because there was the bad blood from a million years ago.
Yeah, well before my time. I don't know if it still exists, but
I don't think it does, because I saw a picture of him and David Spade a couple of weeks ago in Us Weekly. They had their arms around each other.
That would just be crazy. It would be so awesome.
I bet he wouldn't do it, though.
Yeah.
He seems like one of those people who now has kind of come to grips with. He's the guy who does kids' movies, and that was a long time ago when he did all that stuff.
Yeah, that would be scary for a guy, almost like when your legacy is that good.
Yeah.
Gambling it.
Well, I remember reading about him in Dreamgirls.
Uh-huh.
He didn't want to do it, and they had to constantly boost him up. You can do this. He was very nervous about it.
That's such a bummer. That one and Bill Murray were the two Oscar ones that bummed me out so much that they didn't win. Just because I so wanted.
Bill Murray, you couldn't get to come back, right?
He came back and did a thing for us last year in one of the Thursdays.
Right.
But I mean, I think Bill Murray knows that if he wanted to do it, we'd obviously take him back.
But he wouldn't want it.
I don't know. I gotta say I haven't been privy to any conversations one way or the other. Jim Downey, who's one of our great writers, is still really close with him, and I think if word got back, we would know.
How about Nicholson?
I think Nicholson just must not want to do it because Nicholson and Lauren are very good friends.
He's never done it.
Never done it.
I think did he come on once or no? That was De Niro came on.
De Niro definitely came on. I can't believe Nicholson has never come on. Probably
I don't think Nicholson's ever even cameoed.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That would be a big one.
That would be a big one.
That would be. I think Bill Clinton would be the biggest.
Bill Clinton would be the biggest rating, and that would be worldwide.
Although that would be tough for you though. How far do you go? How could you go with stuff?
Also, how far does he go? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, again, the nice thing about Betty White, obviously, was
you can do
she's been around so long because she is willing to go so far.
Yeah.
And it doesn't
And you tested her.
We tested her. And it was great. I mean, it was so exciting, that Monday pitch meeting. Like, afterwards, people had, like, the biggest grins I've ever seen.
How late did she stay at the after party?
3:30. And she had a 6:30 pickup to go to the airport.
That's great.
And I think, I tweeted this, but when she came into the party, every single person in the restaurant stood up and gave her a standing ovation.
Really?
Yeah. It was it was so wonderful. Like, it was funny because Andy and I then got in a car to go to the next party, and we were talking because, it was like Mother's Day, and Betty White doesn't have kids.
Is that true?
It is. And so we were just talking about, here's this, woman who's 88 years old, and, it's Mother's Day, and, like, she walked into this room, and, like, literally every person, like, everyone that had been near her was so in love with her.
Yeah.
And it was just great.
Doesn't have kids. Wasn't she married to the candid camera guy, or was that somebody else?
No, she was married to a guy named Alan Ludden, I want to say, but not.
He was a TV.
He was a game show host.
Wow.
But it was but it was funny. Andy and I were like talking about it in the car right over to another party, like 4 a.m, and we were both like getting teary. But speaking of getting teary, Sundays are the day where we're all like, because it's such a long week, that's where I feel like we're most emotional.
Yeah.
And I usually watch 30 for 30 on Sunday, and I've literally like cried through the 16th Man and cried through Girl for Go. Yeah. Girl of Go. Yeah.
Girl of Go. Yeah. Yeah, that was a sad one.
Oh, rough.
That had the old convention of the documentary move where you cut to the various guys and they're not speaking.
Yeah.
Because something tragic just happened. I've seen it before, but it gets me every time.
Yeah.
And it was like executed perfectly, and you really felt bad by the end of it. But yeah, that was
my favorite thing about 16th Man was the great decision of like, we don't have enough time to explain how rugby works. Cause like, you really get behind it, but like, there are things that are happening. You're like, wait a sec, what? How does this work?
Rugby's pretty complicated. I actually had the same issue with Invictus.
Yeah.
Which, a movie that I didn't really like, and I felt the documentary in an hour kind of did a better job.
Well, I haven't seen it. It was on the plane when I came out here, and it was that weird thing of like,
ponderous.
And saw it in an hour, so.
Yeah. Let's talk about Roethlisberger quickly. You're a Steelers fan.
Yes.
Did you want him to come back? Did you want them to trade him? Or
had they have traded him, I think I would have it would have matched what I believed of the team, and I would have been nice to be like, oh, this is a family team. They run it a different way. They're not going to stand for this. I think made this point, but there is that thing of like when a guy's won 2 championships for you, you can't ever say it was like a wasted draft pick or that the era had been bad. But it's just a huge bummer. I mean, I got to say, like, when I was a kid, I couldn't believe when I met like adults who I could tell had like soured on sports. But you just realize the older you get, like the more likely you've run across something that like just puts you in a terrible mood about the teams you follow.
Yeah, and you either bounce back from it or you just don't like sports as much after that.
But yeah, it's really, pretty damning stuff in that Sports Illustrated article. And,
yeah. But you never hung out with him, right?
No, I met him at the ESPYS that one night.
Yeah. Yeah, it was I thought Sports Illustrated article did a nice job of.
Yeah.
Just like, here are all these different things, and they let you draw your own conclusions, but the conclusion was that the guy was a little bit entitled and maybe he had some issues.
Yeah. But it genuinely makes me like super sad. Like, cause you just want, you want to, again, like you just want to root for your team and believe that they're, good
It's
guys.
interesting. There's like 2 schools of thoughts with this. Like, you think, they'll forget, they'll start winning. Cause they said that with Tiger, and now it's going to be June soon, and I don't think anybody's forgotten anything with Tiger yet, and his career's not going well, and I don't know. People lose faith in you.
That will be the trickiest.
Back.
It is funny when like the trickiest thing with the ESPYs is going to be that
the Tiger stuff.
Yeah, because it's happened so long ago.
Yeah.
So it's like 9 months or 8 months out of the cycle, and but you also, it's hard to deny it.
I wrote today that because he used to go to all the Orlando Magic games.
Yes.
I wrote today how amazing it would have been if he went courtside last night and brought a porn star with him.
Yeah.
And they just sat there and like he had his arm around her. Like, what would the announcers have done? Like, it almost would have been
right.
I don't know what would have happened.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hey, just him sitting courtside would have been bizarre. Like him pumping his fist and stuff. But
yeah. it is so, I gotta say, it's hilarious to me, like, how many, like, you just remind her, like, with all these guys, like Roethlisberger, Tiger, like, we don't know anything about them.
Right.
Or, the people that cover sports know and just decide not to write about it. But, like, let's just give them the benefit of the doubt and say they just don't know anything about them. And then stuff comes up and they, like, go, oh, well, but they so quickly forget the lesson of we don't know anything about him. Because then the next guy, like when Mickelson wins, it's just all about, like, how values wins the day.
You have family and they don't know anything about him either.
Yeah, and you just go, and that very well, like, I don't know anything about Mickelson either. Chances are he's a great family member. But, like, how quickly they jump back behind that narrative of, like, the right guy won.
Yeah, people take the easy road sometimes with the narratives.
Yes.
But the Tiger thing I'm most fascinated by, and I know people have brought it up, but it really does seem like banging women was like part of like the whole overall thing that was going on with him. He's like, I'm going to go win titles. I'm going to have sex with women, and I'm going to stay up late. It was all part of the same thing, and now one of those pitches have been taken away from him. He doesn't have a slider anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, I gotta work, just win with my fastball.
Right.
But it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
If that was part of what made you you, and you take that away, how do you bounce back?
When this is over, I'm going so home. I'm so going home.
I'm going to rent 2 movies tonight. What do you do?
I'm going to keep them, even after I watch them, I'm going to keep them for like 2 weeks before I return them. That's how good it is.
It seems like he was so competitive, and he's always, I got to win, I got to beat this guy, I got to rip this guy's heart out, and then you leave, and you're like, I got to get that girl's like, I'm going to bring her home, I got to do this, I got to text this girl.
Yeah.
It was all, he's in that mode all the time.
I love, man, those texts just goes to show you, like, how much affairs are logistics. It's just like 80% logistics. Because it's just like, you think it's going to be like, I mean, like every 5th one is something sexy, but the rest is like, check in under this name. There's going to be a room service cart. Don't use the stairwell. It's just like, it's exhausting. Like, you really like reading it, go, just don't have affairs. It's just exhausting.
I'll be up that same stairwell 12 minutes after you at 6:17.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he might have just, I look back at like, all right, what could he have done differently? Clearly should have stepped forward right away other than trying to cover it up. But at the same time, like, we all know women. She wasn't going back. And once the 14 woman came out, no woman is going back after that. It's not happening. Just come out at that point and say, you know what, I got married too soon.
Yeah.
I screwed up. I feel terrible what I did. I'll never forgive myself for ruining my family and all that. But the bottom line is, I just wasn't ready, and I thought I was, and I messed up. I think America would have been fine with that. They'd be like, yeah, maybe he did get married too soon. Like, people would have talked themselves into that.
Yeah. Has anybody ever said that? It's like, it seems like a weird thing you don't hear much.
But if somebody did say it,
you would understand it immediately.
Be like, oh yeah.
I mean,
I have a friend who did that.
Of course we do. Yeah. And the weird thing is how, I don't know if it's for every friend you have that does that, everybody knows at the wedding but them. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you are, it's usually you are on board with the idea that, this guy is maybe getting married too soon.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. And then you'd find out 3 years later.
I also do worry a little bit about the motives of the nanny of another golfer who just, happens to fall in love with the guy who's the best and richest golfer. They just happen to.
Right. I will say, like, you travel in certain circles where, like, you don't meet. I mean, like, there's somebody where you meet him. I mean, it's not a groupie. You know what I mean? Like, they're in your world, and you maybe run into him, more often than you would a person who's just, like, hanging out.
Sure.
Maybe. I'm trying to get the benefit of that. I don't want romance to be dead here, Bill.
It's not like, she was the waitress at his local diner, and they struck up a friendship for years.
Although, to be fair, he did also struck up a friendship.
That's true.
It's very hard to pull out an example of a sort of archetype of a woman that he did not have an affair with.
Well, I think there is one type. It doesn't seem like, I think he went exclusively white.
Yeah.
Did we see one African American?
No, he did.
Or Asian?
Yeah.
Or anything?
Oh, man.
Certainly had his type.
We were laughing because Jocelyn James, when she did that press conference with Gloria Allred.
Yeah, that's good.
We were just laughing about how it looked like a scene in a porn movie that took place at a press conference. Because, like, she just, like, has a kind of look that, like, even though she had, like, short hair and, like, a reasonable blouse, it just kind of looked like You don't just.
What was the best Tiger idea that you didn't run?
Oh God, what was the best Tiger idea we didn't run? We had some jokes that we didn't run. I think there was.
You didn't have any sketches though?
I don't think we had any sketches. I mean, we just found it to be like a little.
Like too easy?
Not too easy, and also like a little rough. Like it was, it was just sort of a dark. It got darker as it went.
I disagree.
Yeah. I
think we easily could have had the sex rehab sketch.
We had
easily.
Yes.
Maybe that should be a Thursday night show. Like you had those Thursday night primetime shows that just the sketches that were so easy we couldn't resist show.
Yeah, that would be
Thursday
put it in primetime.
Yeah, these were too easy. We couldn't pass them up.
I think there was a joke about how they were putting out a line of golf balls that were all the different mistresses.
Yep.
And I think one of our jokes, which means there's only one or two of them you want to have your buddies see you playing with.
That's a good one. Yeah. As I look over and my daughter is taking off her pants.
That's great. I should point out that I'm at an angle where I can't see it.
Yeah. It should be 158 or 200. Put some pants on, please. So what are you doing this summer? ESPYS, that's it? Writing a movie?
ESPYS the main one, maybe doing some writing.
You're not going to get married, are you?
No. Well, I shouldn't have said it so quickly.
You want to start over again?
No, I'm spending a lot of time with my girl. As you know, my girlfriend lives out in L.A. So
it's been like over a year.
It's been almost 2.
Uh-oh. You got a year left.
I know. She's in law school.
Then it turns into a bad romantic comedy.
Yeah. No, it's good. She's actually, I'm very lucky that my girlfriend does an interesting thing because she's going to be studying abroad this summer, so I'm going to maybe go spend some time with her over in Europe.
Excellent.
Yeah.
You're not going to go to the World Cup, are you?
No. I was telling you I was having brunch with the SP people, and John Walsh stopped by, and he was offering tickets, but
South Africa, yeah.
South Africa's fine.
You throw away the 20-hour trip, and it'll probably be worth it.
There's that other thing which I feel, I feel lame saying it, but I love, I've watched World Cups in New York before, but it's great. Yeah. You can go to a different bar for every country, and you feel that excitement, and then when it's over, you go back to your apartment.
Yeah.
And it's not about
or you could just watch it in your apartment.
Which I'll probably also do. Yeah. I'll talk a big game about going to the German bar and then just watch it in my apartment.
I did notice that when I was in New York in April, because the Premier League, one of the final weekends, I must have walked by 3 different bars that were advertising.
Yeah.
Come here, Tottenham against so-and-so. And
it's great. And it is.
LA's not like that.
And I have some worries about the South African infrastructure.
It's kind of the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
I have a friend of mine who is an enormous soccer fan. I won't mention his name. Who has been there before and who has the means to go there.
Yeah.
And is choosing not to.
I've been there before as well.
He does not feel safe.
I've been there before, and I didn't feel that, but it just sort of you just, when you have so many people that are not used to a place, you just want it to be really easy. You don't want it to be tricky.
Yeah. I'll take my big TV with HD. Sounds good.
Absolutely.
And the finals and the NBA draft.
But I love it. I love the World Cup.
Me
love
too.
It to death.
Are you going to pick a non-American country?
Well, I fell in love with when I moved to Amsterdam in '98. I was not a soccer fan, and then the Dutch team went to the semifinals that year before losing to Brazil. So I kind of fell in love with the Dutch team first, and then as I lived in Europe, I sort of fell in love with the British team, the English team second, because I couldn't read Dutch newspapers, so I was reading a lot of Guardian sports sections, and then of course the U.S. team. So I kind of got 3 teams that I'm rooting for.
Yeah, I was going to root for England, and then I remembered everything that happened in the 1700s, and I was like, I can't do that. Yeah. Can't do that to the forefathers, but I do like Wayne Rooney.
Yeah.
He's probably my favorite Premier League guy to watch.
And he doesn't play like he looks, like he's, kind of
looks like a hooligan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's pretty.
Messi's the best player, but everybody says his coach is going to ruin him.
It's Maradona,
ruin that team. Yeah, Maradona. Yeah. So it's pretty wide open, though.
It is pretty wide open. It's really exciting. I like that.
Michael Davies said there's a whole, I forget how it goes, but a Southern Hemisphere, Northern Hemisphere thing. No Northern Hemisphere team has ever won on the Southern Hemisphere and vice versa. So if you're going to pick a team, pick the team on that hemisphere.
Right.
I haven't done enough research on that yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's weird. I wish there were more World Cup pools. It's slightly strange because you don't know the 16, that bracket system. I know there's versions of how to do it, but
I'm working on it. I'm glad you brought this up.
Yes.
Because within the next week, I'm going to have it figured out. I think there's a way you get points for each game you pick correctly in each round.
Right.
And you can repick after each round. And
yeah.
There's a way to do this. Don't think I won't figure it out.
I do feel like it's 2 phases. Like,
Yeah.
and then like when it gets to the final 16, then you pick it like an NCAA pool.
You know, we're doing this thing. I scored a goal that ran in front of some of the Tribeca sports films we did, and they're going to run on ESPN. And there are only 35 living people who have scored a World Cup goal in the final.
Is in the last game.
In the final.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So they did a 1.5 minute thing with each person who had scored a World Cup goal.
Wow.
There's only 35, like a little club.
It is crazy.
So,
it is amazing how much more exciting it is that it's every 4 years.
You know what struck me is that I know nothing about the other cups because I really only started even watching the World Cup, I think, in 94. And I barely remember that. Barely remember 98. Remember 2002 a little more. 06 definitely remember some of it, but I have no semblance of the history and who's won. Like, I almost wish there was like a World Cup for Dummies documentary.
Yes.
A 2-hour, like how Bud Greenspan used to do those weighty Olympic ones.
Right.
I would just love to know like what happened every 4 years.
Yeah. Just like, because again, you could do the highlights of each 4 years in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That should be a show. I'm going to suggest that to my bosses.
They should be able to pull that together in time.
And soon to be your bosses, briefly.
I know.
Temporarily.
I'm very excited about my temporary employment with ESPN.
What day is it?
It's July 14th, I want to say.
July 14th.
13th or 14th.
ESPN live Wednesday night.
Yep.
Very exciting.
You're going to be there, right?
I'll be there.
Good.
I'll help you out in any way you want.
I'm very excited.
I'll write
that.
some bad jokes for you.
Gotcha.
Whatever you need from me. Seth Meyers, thank you for being in studio.
So good to be here live.
All right.
Good
time.
Thanks, buddy.
So I get to sign off. Whoa.
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Pod Center at ESPNradio.com.
Peace out.